The inclusion of box lacrosse skills, tactics, and concepts into the field lacrosse game is driving the evolution of team offensive scheme. It is upending traditional field lacrosse offensive orthodoxy by showing that a new, simplified, player-centric approach can be successful. When compared to traditional field lacrosse offense, the hybrid system is much more reflective of the way that players see the field during gameplay, as opposed to how a coach sees the game on a whiteboard. The hybrid offense does not look elegant as X's and O's, but it is very intuitive and it's a fun system for players to play in. If we start by throwing our traditional understanding of team offense out the window and instead start from scratch by asking the question, what is the bare minimum an offense needs to be productive, I would argue that a team offense really just needs three things: space, motion, and balance. We want to consistently create and then fill space inside and around the prime goal scoring area of the field, known as the scorer's arc. We want to create frequent motion that will allow us to threaten the defense in a variety of ways. Without frequent motion, we become entirely reliant on 1v1 dodging to create scoring opportunities. We should generally try to balance our spacing on offense to spread the defense out and make it more difficult for them to slide to dodgers. We fulfill the principle of space by running drills and minigames that emphasize space-creating tactics like mirroring, cutting, picking, popping, and fading. We fulfill the principle of motion by practicing cycling on swing passes and dodges until it becomes a habit. We fulfill the principle of balance by splitting the offensive field into two zones. If you watch a traditional team offense that is dysfunctional, the problem so often is that balance is achieved at the expense of motion and space. Players tend to focus too much on filling the spots in a given formation and only feel free to cut or dodge when another spot in the formation has been vacated. In reality, all the good stuff on offense happens while players are on the move. If we prioritize space and motion, then balance is often a natural byproduct. Before we discuss the hybrid offense, it will help to explain how a box lacrosse offense works. To begin, we divide the field in half vertically. We try to keep our lefties and righties on their natural side, meaning that their stick is upfield and to the middle as they face the goal. We also try to balance the floor spacing as best we can by keeping 3 players on one side and 2 on the other.
Here's hustle to the bench. Stotts was gone. He tries to go upstairs again. Mike Poulin probably knows the way Randy Stotts shoots better than any goaltender around. It's with the score. Misses Toby. Backdoor for Church. And he's got 3. Watch Lane Smith and watch how fast he is. He's got some of the best shape of his life. I would think he's still got the hands that allowed him to score 72 goals in a season of junior B lacrosse with 6 Nations Rebels. There's a rip from Robert Timothy.
Good offenses constantly stay in motion, and advanced box players do this organically. But when learning the game, box players are instructed on how to cycle. In a cycle, the high wing player cuts halfway to crease, which is called a post seal in box lacrosse, and the other wing player flashes upfield. If we have a third player in the zone, our highest player will cycle by cutting hard down the pipes. It is especially important for us to cycle after we make a swing pass from one zone to another. The cycle motion is the same for the on-ball side as it is for the off-ball side. Ultimately, this cycle motion is about creating good movement habits for our off-ball players until they've explored and understand the many options available to them, and then giving them the freedom to freelance and cycle however they choose. For our box field hybrid offense, we can start with the exact same zone setup as box lacrosse. In the hybrid offense, we will consider the crease area a shared space and want to encourage players to cut or cycle into the crease area. We will also encourage our lefties and righties to play on their natural side of the field, just like we would in box lacrosse. Since we will have a 6th offensive player in field lacrosse, we must decide how to incorporate him into the offense, and there are 2 simple options for the setup that will maintain our principle of balance. The first option is that we can set up our 2 zones like we would in box lacrosse and simply add the 6th player below goal line extended. This player at X behind can ignore the zone structure since we want him to be a threat to dodge or sneak both sides of the crease and score. This setup works most effectively for teams that lack a good balance of lefties to righties, or if they've got an attackman who is clearly most comfortable playing at X behind. Our second option for this setup is to simply have 3 players occupy each zone. This setup can be most effective for teams with a good balance of lefties to righties on offense. In this setup, players on the off ball side of the field must make sure that one of them is always in position to back up a missed shot. Almost every commonly used offensive dodge fits very nicely within the rules of the hybrid offense. The one exception is the sweep dodge. We carve out an exception for the sweep dodge, and if a player crosses from one zone into another, we will simply look to bump another player over to replace him and rebalance our spacing. During the 2022 World Lacrosse Super Sixes tournament, Team Canada ran the boxfield hybrid offense to great effect, overwhelming teams with their offensive output and beating USA in the championship game 23-9. Let's check out some clips of the hybrid offense in action.
Continuously jumping out of the pool on east-west picks and leaving the pool one hole behind them. If you watched the Super Sixes tournament the year prior, this setup seemed to get used a few times within the freelance offense, but it seemed to generate great opportunity the majority of the time. The third clip shows an empty crease setup on the strong side, with one player stationed behind the net in order to create space for the other two. Here, the American defender number 1, Hurst, is inviting team number 51 top side instead of denying it, which could have negated the whole situation. Instead, the low defender number 25, Goodrich, fires out anticipating a switch that wasn't there, leaving number 22, Byrne, the leading scorer at the tournament, wide open for a minute. The other set play that Canada repeatedly went to was the crease vacate or crease clear-out play, primarily on the strong side, timed with a hard run underneath by the ball carrier. Watch closely how as soon as number 28 Bowering on Canada touches the low crease position, he vacates into the middle, triggering the high ball carrier, number 51 team, to take a hard run underneath. Notice also that team had the east-west pick option for number 55 Cole, which may have also gotten team open over top, adding even further apprehension to the decision-making process of the American defenders.
Now, let's check out the hybrid offense in action during some field lacrosse high school games.
they've lost so many face-offs, so they are accustomed. They've kind of perfected losing a face-off, but winning the possession. Yeah, nobody's better in that 32 game than the Water Dogs. McCardle working on a short stick, rolls back, loses his footing, shoots, trying to use a screen that time, but Thompson saw it all the way.